evening, everyone. I'm Carl N6CKV. I am the emergency coordinator for Placer County ARES. So first of all, how many people have heard about ARES? Most everybody. How many people belong to Placer County ARES? Good. So I don't have to get too much into what it is. The important thing about ARES is that it's administered through the ARRL. It's a group of amateurs. You don't have to belong to ARRL to be a member of ARES that have volunteered their equipment, their time, and their service for various served agencies in case of emergency or drills. In contrast, RACES is a government organization that is sponsored by a government agency that can respond to natural disasters just like ARES, but remember that it works for a government agency. And the other thing is that the ARRL used to issue calls for RACES club stations, but they no longer issue those calls. It's kind of falling by the wayside. In Placer County, we do not have a RACES organization. When I was in San Jose, the city of San Jose had RACES under the fire department, but that has since fallen by the wayside. And most emergency work is being handled through the ARES arm of the ARRL. The main differences, as I mentioned, is ARES is government administrated. It can only do activity for that government agency. It limits them. They're limited on drills. ARES is ARRL administered. ARRL has a variety of memos of understanding with organizations like FEMA and the Red Cross. So ARES works with a variety of emergency services organizations. And ARES is unlimited on drills. We can drill with ourselves or with various served agencies, the organizations that we support. This is a section map of the Sacramento Valley ARES section, or the Sacramento Valley section, and this shows the various ARES organizations within it. For those of you that were at the talk given by Jim Piper, you'll notice that this corresponds very closely to the Gold Country region map of the Red Cross. So that's why there's a close association with the Red Cross and the members of the Sacramento Valley ARES section. If you notice, we're in District 5, which is headed by Ralph W6RWL. Ralph is very active in Tavistock and Western States, and Dennis has posted his flyer on our website. He's always looking for help, so please help him.
He's also a member of this club.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not here, but he was at our ARES meeting. Our section district EC is Greg, WG6SJT, and he's been working very hard with Jim Piper, who is a member of the club, N6MED, to get Red Cross integrated with the ARES organization in this region. He's been doing some FL message forms and training, that kind of thing. The served agencies for Placer County is the Placer County Office of Emergency Services. I work with Rod Rodriguez. There is a Kenwood TS-2000 located in the Emergency Operations Center, or actually in an adjacent hallway, that I've checked a couple times. It's got a good HF antenna, a B&W HF antenna that works on all the bands, and it's got a 2-meter antenna, so it works. I've checked it with the W6CK repeater, and I did a complete test of everything last October. We also work with the hospitals, the 3 main hospitals in this area: Sutter Roseville, Sutter Auburn, or Auburn Faith is his old name, and Kaiser Roseville. At Sutter Roseville, we have an antenna and a radio and a power supply next to the emergency room, and we've worked with them on some drills that I'll get into in just a moment. Sutter Auburn has an antenna pulled into one of the conference rooms, and Kaiser Roseville has a radio in a room that's a copy room that's adjacent to their command center with an antenna. So the hospitals are actually reasonably well set up. For the Red Cross, we have to look at shelters, and I'll be getting into shelter information in a little bit on our upcoming projects. But these are the 3 main areas where we do support in this county. Okay, the activities in the past year and coming into this year. For drills, in May there was a countywide oil by rail disaster drill done at the Roseville Fire Training Ground that also involved the hospitals. We had about 20 amateurs involved, both in the scene, at a helipad. There was helicopter transportation out of the scene to Sutter Roseville. At Sutter Roseville, Sutter Auburn, and at Kaiser Roseville, we were passing traffic about the status of the various victims, the count, and where they were located, and also making sure that they all got transportation back so that they could go home after the exercise. In November, we had an active shooter drill actually at Sutter Roseville in the Rehab Institute. We had about 10 hands involved with that at Sutter Roseville and in Sutter Auburn, passing traffic, mainly digital, between the two on the status of the hospitals. Kaiser Roseville had their own MCI drill, and we weren't involved in that. We're trying to get Kaiser Roseville more involved with the amateurs. They tend to be a little bit by themselves, even dealing with the other two hospitals and with the county health department. In meetings, we have quarterly meetings. The October meeting, we had a presentation on WinLink, on 2 meters packet by Jim Price. In January, Jim Piper and 6MED gave us a presentation on the Red Cross and what they are doing and what they expect out of the amateur radio community. And in March, we're going to have another meeting, and in that meeting, I want people to bring their Go Kits, their radio Go Kits, so that we can share ideas and test them and just get a good idea of what a Go Kit is, especially for the newer members and the members that don't have a Go Kit. They can get an idea of what to build up. For projects this year, we have 2 going on top of the projects that are already ongoing. The first one is Sutter Roseville is going to be building a new ER building and probably be finished in 5 years, but we're starting in on the ground floor to get our equipment in, get our antennas in, and just make sure we have a good place to operate out of that facility. The second one is we've received a list of the proposed Red Cross shelter locations in Placer County. And we are going to, with the help of Mike, Jeff, and others, we're going to do site surveys of the locations to determine where the best place to set up a radio is, what repeaters work, what digipeaters work, that kind of thing. Jeff has a program that does terrain mapping for RF links, so he's going to be working at home and doing terrain mapping for the repeaters at all the locations, and then we'll be able to verify them with field tests. And we're also going to be getting additional information from County Health on the actual locations, as far as photographs of the building, where the parking lot is, even down to how many toilets and showers they have. We're going to be getting the full Red Cross book for each location so that we can add our radio information to it, so if we do get deployed to a shelter, we have a cookbook of what's there and what's needed to set up the radio communications. So those are projects that I'm planning for this coming year. The organization, well, I'm the EC, Carl N6CKV. I have some assistants, Bob, K6UDA, Marty, W6TOC, George, KG6LSB, and Susan, KG6UIE. Susan works at Sutter Auburn. Marty tends to take care of Sutter Roseville. George takes care of our net controls. Bob helps with training. And we have more than 40 members in the county. And most of them are west of Colfax. There is supposed to be a group that takes care of Tahoe West, but they don't have an EC, and I don't know how well organized they are. But we have troubles getting to the other side of the summit. And Placer County was actually worried about that and was thinking of calling us up to do some work near the summit, the first set of rains with the floods. But They're okay. Go ahead, Burton.
Carl, years ago, there was a problem, well, problem's probably an overstatement. There was a question in trucking about, is trucking Nevada County or Placer County? And, well, half the towns in one and half the towns in the other. And so there was a discussion about who should take lead in trucking. And I don't know what happened after that. I know it was a big question at one time.
For ARES, there is supposed to be a West Tahoe organization that incorporates El Dorado County, Placer County, Nevada County, and part of Sutter County for that area. As I said, there is no EC there, so there isn't much of an organization there. But for everything on the other side of the summit, around the Tahoe Basin, there is supposed to be an ARES organization for that we're supposed to work with, but I haven't gotten any interaction with them. Yeah, that is a problem. Not only the way the county lines go, but also just the summit creating troubles. So how do I join? Most of you already belong. Basically, so long as you're an amateur, you can join. We have some training requirements that I'll get into on the next slide. Check into the weekly net. We have a weekly net every Sunday on W6EK at 7:30. Check in as a visitor and you'll get information there. There's contact information on the next couple slides. And get a hold of me or George. We'd be happy to have anyone join. We welcome everybody, so long as you're a licensed amateur. And you don't need exotic equipment like Burton's truck to be a member. It's handy. Training. Our main training is familiarity with the incident command system. These courses are offered online. There's ICS, or Independent Study 100, which is an introduction to the incident command system. There's 200, which is the information in ICS for a single resource, which is what we would be considered. And then there's 700, which is the National Incident Management System, NIMS, which has an overreaching umbrella over the ICS systems. And the training can be found on the FEMA website, and there's a link here, and Dennis will be posting this on the Yahoo website so you can follow this link. And the other thing is that we're using the ICS 213 message form, or the hospital has a variant of it, or the Red Cross has a variant of it, but we've gone over those recently in a net, and they're not that much different. But familiarity with the ICS 213 would be useful, and we have some programs that help in FL Message that help filling out the form and transferring the form over various amateur links easier. So the modes we use, well, we use all of them. We use voice on HF, UHF, VHF. We use digital on all of them, basically FL Digi, FL Message, WinLink with either WinMore or Packet, whether you're running HF or UHF, VHF. So familiarity with the modes is useful, but we do some voice traffic. We found that within working at Sutter Roseville, voice is problematic because of the concrete walls of the building, and I'm sure we will find the same problem at Kaiser and at Sutter Auburn, and schools and various things because of the heavy use of concrete construction. Contact information. We'll get you out in time here. Again, this will be posted on the website so you can use it, but basically I am the EC. There's 2 email addresses for me, my phone number, my cell phone number, and there is this website that's kept up by Greg STJ, sackvalleyares.org. You can find all kinds of information on that website, including the application form. And then a general website is the ARRL's ARES website. So these are all useful locations for finding information. So are there any questions? I'm just looking for new members, renew old members. You're welcome to check into the net. And we're going to have a little bit of training this week on what a list of things that I have for what accessories should be kept with an HT to make it more useful. Yes?
So I was involved with ARES a number of years ago, and one of the highly frustrating areas where it seems when we worked at the hospitals, they were more interested in using their Nextel phones than they were us. And there just didn't seem to be any kind of crossover happening. Is that getting better?
With Sutter Auburn and Sutter Roseville, yes, in the fact that Sue Webb, who is one of our AECs, is a nurse at Sutter Auburn, and both John and myself sit on the Emergency Preparedness Council for Sutter Roseville. And we work with Eric Engel, and he is very active in making sure that ham radio is included in his exercises and in his plans. In fact, I mentioned at the last meeting that we were getting, because Mike from County Health was there, and I was thanking him for the list of Red Cross shelter, and Eric was pleased that we were also going to be dealing with Red Cross shelters because there's a need for hospitals to have communications with the shelters. And he was going to fold that into his plans too. So, with the exception of Kaiser, which has been difficult for not only the hams, but also for County Health and for the other hospitals, we do have good contacts with the Sutter hospitals. And as I showed in the two exercises, both mass casualty incident exercises last year, we were in the planning and did pass traffic for them. So they are used to us being there. Any other questions? Yes, John?
Just a comment on that. If you look at the ARR mission statement for ARES, it includes all these agencies, but it also includes community organizations, such as churches or various Rotary groups or whatever, schools. That is, if there's a real emergency, you can expect that people will congregate at this, and the Red Cross may not, in fact, have all these locations. So we probably need to be thinking about expanding our mission. We've started a little bit on that. We can tell you that another time, but that's another component which we've not really filled out, and you may have some ideas on this.
Yeah. The other thing is that the ARES group forms a core. I've been active with ARES in Santa Clara County, and when we had the earthquake, hams come out of the woodwork. So the ARES group forms a core, a leadership core, to fold in other hams for emergency help. Because they have the basic knowledge, and we can pair up a new ham with an ARES member at the various locations. I like to get 2 people at every location so that there's coverage, so people can take breaks and that kind of thing. Any other questions?
Ronnie.
Yes.
I was reading this in September QST. This is Cascadia. This is Washington and Oregon.
Yes, I'm familiar with Cascadia.
We thought, are we part of that?
No, that was an Oregon-Washington exercise that proved out a lot of stuff, especially the digital modes with FL Message and Outpost and WinLink. But that ended basically in Eugene. It came only as far south as
It didn't
Eugene.
go down the border.
No, it didn't really hit the border. Yeah, we haven't organized a statewide or a Northern California exercise of that scope. Any other questions? Okay.
All right.